So there's been a lot of internet rumours, but I can't really find any flat-out confirmation circulating around of a Spider-Man Noir show going into production, set to come out on Amazon Prime, and basically, I want to make it. Sony, Amazon, if you're watching this, don't know why you are, but please be watching this, put me on this project. Am I a proven writer director? No. Am I capable? Maybe, at least a little bit, but do I want to do it? Oh my god, yes. Come on, I've made one decent short film, one almost decent short film, and one really, really good proof of concept. That's gotta be enough, right? Anyway, I'll do anything to work on this project, please. Oh my god, I'll be a runner, I'll be a coffee boy, please, anything. I would love to write, direct it, but I'll do it. I'll be a camera up. I'll be the guy who holds clipboards. I'll be the guy who just tells people to stand in places. I'll do anything, please. Seriously,
Sucker.
Sorry about that. I am begging. I'll do anything on that movie. You barely have to pay me. But I'll move on now. Several months ago now, I watched a video by Brand Dog and a few others about potential Spider-Man movie ideas. And after hearing the Noir pitch in that video, I was kept up at night with all of the ideas floating around in my head about the concepts and story themes that you could get out of a Spider-Man Noir film. So instead of focusing on college or sleeping at all, I just wrote 2 pitches for different Spider-Man Noir film ideas, and well, I guess you're here to watch them. So, first of all, we talk about why I'm not going to go with the obvious. A lot of people want Spider-Man Noir to be a detective story, and while that would be awesome, it's just the Batman. And that's a bit blunt and short of me to say, but there really isn't a ton you can do with this idea that isn't just the Batman. And with how fantastic the Batman was, I think that going for the detective angle, or at least primarily the detective angle, at least with superhero media in its current state, is a very easy way to create a noir show or film that really struggles with its identity. Especially when it's trying to play catch-up to the best superhero detective media we've had in years. I can see it working better in 5 or so years when the Batman is less fresh in all of our minds, but these pictures for the noir film that I would start making today if I had the money. So yeah, with all that shit out the way, pitch 1, the one I know I could do, and also the one you're probably expecting, but trust me, it's still interesting. Yeah, I'm still working on the title, but the main goal for this one is to make it more of a grimy, artistic film. I want all of the art direction to be trying to go for a less harsh look than the noir sections and Shattered Dimensions had. In fact, if I could nail a style I really want to steal from, weirdly, Bendy and the Ink Machine has kind of nailed this sepia tone without losing too much detailed look. Although I would definitely tone down the shadows a bit, and I definitely won't be taking any other inspiration from that game. See, respectfully, my issue with the Shattered Dimensions style is that it requires ultra harsh lighting at all times, which is awesome for a game aesthetic, but it really limits what a film or a show can get away with. And Noir's flashback aesthetic from Into the Spider-Verse is really cool, but I'd really like this to have a more detailed art direction with its grittiness. I don't want to trash and leave with these styles, because they certainly can and have worked for films, but this is my pitch for my version of this film, and I don't think that either of these styles would work for that. But I do think that using yellow as much as you're using white will really help with what you could do with the palette of this film, and maybe keeping reds for blood in there will help to create some super striking imagery that would help make this thing stand out. The story of this would be a more traditional superhero film with a gang film twist. In the world of the film, Noir's already been on the scene for a while and there'll be no origin story. The film, in my opinion, should open up with the establishment of the action. Noir has and uses a gun, but it's never lethally. And then the opening would end with Noir getting his ass absolutely kicked by Tombstone, who I'd want to be the main villain. I think that Tombstone, with his kind of weird specific power set, is the perfect villain for this kind of more art house semi-pretentious but very stylish Spider-Man film. Tombstone's power, in this film at least, will be that he can't feel pain. Maybe there could be some implied super strength, but the main one is that he can't feel pain. And he's gained this reputation as this emotionless, powerful gangster who kicks Spider-Man's ass at the start of the film because Spider-Man on his own and using methods that resemble Batman more than Spider-Man just isn't what he needs to do. The rest of the film will be about Peter finding the place that Spider-Man needs to be in this Great Depression world. The people of the setting needed to escape from this cold, unfeeling world. The film could start off with Peter thinking that Spider-Man needs to be this icon of fear. He thinks he needs to be hidden in the shadows, but in fact he needs to be in the light, literally keeping the streets safe. I know what you're thinking. Didn't you literally spend like a whole ass paragraph going about how you don't want this to be the Batman and you just described the arc of the Batman? And I know I did it in a lot of ways, but here's where I want the big differences to be. The Batman is very big on discussing with Bruce and by proxy the audience about its themes. Can Gotham heal? Does it even deserve to? What should we let us define as people? If I was making this film, I wouldn't even make it a question. The film will literally follow Peter, someone strengthened by his pain, someone who rose above his pain, beating someone who cannot feel pain and therefore can't grow from it. The film's message overall would be that you could rise above that fear. You could use this pain to move on and do something. The film will start with Peter's methods of fear and shadow being proved wrong, even if it might take him a sec to realise it, but it will end with him bathed in light. He doesn't want to scare criminals off the streets by taking them into the shadows, he wants to stand in the streets as his bright defender, and I think that's a huge benefit and difference that makes this film worth making. And that's pretty much the pitch, although just on the side, I'm on the fence about having there be narration from Noir's perspective in the film. I was actually so on the fence about this idea I was going to delay this video so I could write a full first draft screenplay experimenting with the idea, but at the time I was a bit too busy in pre-production on the short film to actually do that, so I'll just leave it as is, but I'd like to do it with narration, but I think there's a version of it that works without it. And also, I definitely think there's a fairly different but equally awesome version of this film if you made it Spider-Woman Noir. I think there's a lot of awesome ideas worth exploring there that are unique to that kind of character, and I definitely look into those if I ever got big enough to actually make this film. Anyway, so that's pretty much pitch 1. Here's pitch 2, the one that would cost so much more money. Have you guys heard of Lupin the Third? If not, I did a video on it you should check out, or just watch Casa Cagliostro and make your own mind up. But I bring it up because I think that kind of zaniness and those dynamics work perfect for a Spider-Man noir film, even if it would be not what anyone is really expecting right now. Lupin III has tons of largely stateless films that are an absolute joy to watch and rewatch. They're just a blast even if it's basically what no one would expect. But I definitely think this direction could work phenomenally. It would also be really unique. We just don't get many films like this nowadays. Or you definitely have to switch the dynamics a ton since noir is mostly a more self-serious Edgar. This could absolutely work. And hell, if you want to use the flashback aesthetic from Spider-Verse or go full cel-shaded, this would be the film for that. Or you could go for the more anime Lupin style. I mean, I think that any kind of animated, zany style would work perfectly for this film, anything super expressive. Lupin films pretty frequently portrays Edgar to team up with Lupin and the crew to stop a larger threat, and that would work perfectly here. Create some new, less threatening noir versions of Shocker or Mysterio, maybe throw in Vulture in there as this gang of less capable villains who secretly have hearts of gold. And follow Noir as he slowly and begrudgingly realizes he needs that gang of villains' help in order to win and beat a larger threat like Spot or Mr. Negative or the Goblin. You could have the banterous rivalry that the Lupin films thrive off of, the quick writing, the phenomenal set pieces, all with this setup. And because the Lupin films have a common theme of getting supernatural in the third act, you could even incorporate all the crazier aspects of Noir as well that I would leave out of the first pitch, like the spider god that gave him his powers and stuff. This one would be insanely more expensive because it's animation and really good animation at that. But honestly, this kind of film or series would be phenomenal, and I would be honoured to be able to work on it in all the capacities that I can. Does anyone apart from me want it? No, but who cares? Someone give me the money so I can make this. This pitch has so much opportunity to create a fun, unique, and never seen before Spider-Man film, and honestly, I really want to see it. So yeah, there are my pitches. If any oil barons or lottery winners or millionaires want to throw me the money to make this, feel free. I'd only need about a few thousand to do the first pitch, but the second one, you're better off going to a full-blown studio for that one, because I can't animate for shit. But other than that, thanks for watching my pitches. I genuinely like some feedback on these two, since I genuinely think both of these have a lot of merit, and I'd love to make them someday. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.